Lord, this can end in a serious dilemma. Now that the country been run by labor, this pure mayhem, scandal, disorder. With this labor party in power, is this a social club in disguise? Or some kind of criminal enterprise? What a menace to society. This administration turning out to be the PM, not a so-called advisor, telling people how to get away with murder. It's non-stop attack on the treasury with paper daddy and money, sorry. This labor bunch shot to the core, lacking integrity, that's for sure. Economies down, hard life crippling, we a collective menace, menace to society. It's like it's all cheap and no Indian. It's like lunatics running the asylum without a plan, ideas or structure. It's the people who left to suffer. No pub, no peace, bare unemployment. No money for bills, much less enjoyment. Total advantage, that's we fake under these enemies of the state. They ain't cheap, can he get lawyer? He really a proper plain labor third politician now for sure. Going from door to door in number 4, law and order not a priority. No one in charge of the nation's safety. DAD join the cult and the greedy. We just a menace to society. Government buildings, well them the worst. We infrastructure seem like it costs. Electricity and water walk with the moon. Every month you hear the fix coming soon. Under labor life for this pure misery. Oppression, depression and tyranny. This gang is a menace to society. Life in SKN, this ain't no joke. Like the whole country going up in smoke. While Mr. Smiley and 10 money one busy fighting, jockeying for position. Lord have mercy upon all of we. With this menace to society. Government buildings, well them the worst. We infrastructure seem like it costs. Electricity and water up with the moon. Every month you hear the fix coming soon. Under labor life for this pure misery. Oppression, depression and tyranny. This gang is a menace to society. On SKN, this ain't no joke. Like the whole country going up in smoke. While Mr. Smiley and 10 money one busy fighting, jockeying for position. Lord have mercy upon all of we. With this menace to society. Society, them are enemies of the state. Lord of mercy, under the weight of the lies, they need their other show. They got to go, they got to go. It's menace to society, them are enemies of the state. Lord of mercy, under the weight of the lies, they need their other show. They got to go. Society, them are enemies of the state. Lord of mercy, under the weight of the lies, they need their honor show. They got to go, oh, they got to go, oh, they got to go, oh, they got to go, oh. For the people.
Good evening and welcome to Unfiltered. I am Azard Gumbs, lawyer, deputy leader of the People's Action Movement and proud PAM candidate for constituency number 4. Tonight's theme is one that every petition and division must face: uncaring labor, caring PAM. We see it in sports, a government that locks athletes out of the very stadium built for them. We see it in business, agreements signed with foreign banks and investors for a new port, and just days later, letters threatening eviction sent to our own people. We see it in everyday life, a government focused on appearances, but uncaring about the struggles of ordinary people. The People's Action Movement is different. The People's Action Movement cares. We believe in opening doors, not closing gates. In building future, not barriers. In putting our people first, always. So tonight, I'll walk you through the facts, the letters, the posts, the voices, and the evidence. By the end, the contrast will be undeniable. Uncaring labor, caring act. Now, just don't take my word for it. Listen to what ordinary citizens are saying. Gwyneth wrote on social media. Fail and yet expects to be rewarded for it. And Gwyneth is right, because when politicians are honored for bad behavior, what do we get? We get more bad behavior, we get more neglect, we get more uncaring leadership. And if you think Gwyneth's words are just frustration, look at the facts. Right now, our own athletes are being punished because of Labour's bad behavior. Let's take the King Collins Athletic Stadium, for example. Works will be ongoing at a facility to better cater, will be ongoing at the facility to better cater the needs of all users. A comprehensive outline of the updated policies and procedures will be communicated shortly for your reference and guidance. Respectfully, Jeffrey Hazel, Director of Sports. Now, let me pause here. You have heard the government's official position in black and white. What does it say? What athletes, that it says that athletes and clubs are locked out. That so-called alternative venues, which do not exist at the same standard, will somehow survive. And the vague improvement work are promised without detailed without details or timeline. This is Labour's idea of sports development. Lock the gates, hand out excuses, and call it progress. But I could not be silent. And after seeing that letter was shared to me by a member of the sporting community, and having seen and read that letter, I had to make a post. I had to make a post. I could not be silent. And my post read, as a proud son of this nation, and as a candidate of constituency 4, I cannot remain silent while our athletes and clubs are treated with disregard. The recent correspondence from the Department of Sport confirms what many have feared. The continuous training access to the King Collins Athletic Stadium is being denied to our clubs. This is unacceptable. The stadium that bears the name of our world champion, King Collins, should be a beacon of opportunity, not a closed gate. To tell athletes to seek alternative venues when none exists of comparable standard is not a solution. It is an insult. Even worse, this government has created a two-tier system, granting selective access to national athletes while sidelining the very clubs that nurture and develop them. And without the clubs, there could be no national athletes. The letter also talks about ongoing improvement work, but does not give a single detailed scope of a timeline or a plan. Once again, the government has chosen secrecy over transparency. Once again, the Minister of Sports has failed to deliver. Sports is not just recreation. It is nation building, youth empowerment, and international representation. This neglect is unacceptable. As your candidate, I will continue to hold the minister accountable until athletes and clubs receive the facilities, the access, and the respect they deserve. This, my friends, is the very definition of uncaring labor. A labor administration, a government that turns its back on athletes, ignores the youth, blindsides youth development, and hides behind empty words. And this is why I could not be silent. As the youngest candidate on the election slate, as the deputy political leader of the People's Action Movement, and as someone deeply committed to our youth, I must speak out. Because if our youth, young people cannot access opportunity, then our community and our nation cannot move forward. A caring People's Action Movement will always fight to ensure that doors are open, that talent is supported, and that the next generation is given every chance to succeed. This Labour administration has proven time and time again that they do not care about the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We realize that the King Collins Athletic Stadium was under repairs for excess of a year, almost 2 years. we realize this year in 2025 that the traditional inter-school championships could not have been held at the stadium. And when the question was asked to the Minister of Sport about the hosting of the championship, he talked about delays for the renovation of the King Collins Athletic Stadium. He talked about acts of God, about rain, and then said to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, what is going to be postponed? That was sometime around March, April. But we knew better. Because after the sporting season or the sporting semester is over, it is the third term. And the third term is filled with exams. So after the second term, which is dedicated towards sports and other activities, the third term is dedicated towards final exams. And so the Minister of Sports had any knowledge about the school system, he would not have made such an erroneous statement indicating that it was going to be a postponement. In fact, it was a cancellation. And so, fast forward, there was a song and dance about the reopening of the King Collins Athletic Stadium. People, ministers, parading themselves at the opening. They are making sports, they are running on the track. But months after, athletes and clubs are denied access to the very track for the training that they are used to. And this Labour government expects athletes to perform at international standards, but yet not provide international facilities for them to train. They talk about maintenance of the King Collins Athletic Stadium, and then some of their supporters talk about maintenance of the King Collins Athletic Stadium. But what should have been in place was a proper management team to safeguard the stadium and to ensure that the stadium is properly maintained, not locking the doors from the very athletes needed for their training to proceed. And so they talk about other venues. But what other venues are there of comparable standards to the King Collins Athletic Stadium? Other countries may have training facilities that are comparable to the King Collins Stadium, and so their athletes would train at a different location than the stadium, their main stadium. But here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we do not have the same facilities. And I am not an athlete, but I could know that training on grass and training on track, two different levels. So we can't expect athletes to train on grass and then expect them to perform at an international level on the track. But it shows the short-sighted nature of this Labour administration, who cares more about themselves than the people who have elected them to serve. And so we look at their performance, and their performance is clearly showing that they are all of self and none of thee. But I stand or sit here today, and I say to you that the People's Action Movement government cares for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. A People's Action Movement government will put the people of St. Kitts and Nevis first. It was under the People's Action Movement that you see the construction of sporting facilities across St. Kitts and Nevis. And it will be as a result of the People's Action Movement that we will continue to open access to young people as it relates to sports. And so, as this minister and his ministry locked the people, the athletes, out of the stadium that is there to ensure that their talents are nurtured, I will not be silent to their cry, because the voice of the people is said to be the voice of God. And we must continue to rally behind the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the People's Action Movement will continue to put the people of St. Kitts and Nevis first. Because we are a party that is people-centered and people-focused. Which brings me to my next point. Over the weeks, we have heard so many things in the news about this uncaring Labour government who care more about others than the people that have elected them to serve. And while Labour is locking out our athletes here at home, look at what else they are doing. They are signing agreements with foreign investors and banks, and then just days after, sending threatening letters of eviction to our very own people. That too is a mark of an uncaring government. Let us look at the evidence. Let us look at what the Labour administration has continued to do to its own people.
Sector for the past 21 years or so is being threatened with eviction by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis from its New Guinea location on the southwest coast of the island, said Reginald Francis, owner and director of St. Kitts Marine Works, when he spoke with SK Newsline about his ongoing ordeal with the government. For over 2 decades, St. Kitts Marine Works provided vital services, including a marina with haul-out facilities, salvage operations, marine construction and dredging for St. Kitts and Nevis and the wider yachting community in the northeastern Caribbean, a facility considered essential in marine operations and one that is in high demand. However, according to Mr. Francis, the government has taken an antagonistic stance against him, threatening him with eviction if a case against the government to get monies due to him for services completed is not withdrawn. Francis explained the circumstances.
So, let us deal with the facts. On the screen, you have seen or heard an article by SKN Newsline about our very own local businessman, Reginald. Reginald had been in that location for up to, if not more than, 20 years. If you go on to hear the clip, Reginald speaks about the work, the infrastructure that he has put into that area. And then, after 20 years of work, what is left for Reginald? An uncaring Labour administration comes to him after signing an agreement with a foreign bank, an African bank, and you put up the agreement that was signed by that same bank. And if you look at it, it talks about a loan being given to St. Kitts and Nevis. And here you have Stan Andrew smiling, signing agreements with the African Bank for a new project. Labour rolls out the carpet, the red carpet, for this foreign bank and foreign investors. They have meetings, photo ops, handshakes, and deals, and they call it progress. But what comes next? Look at the article. The article is dated the 28th of July. Days after, you see Reginald with a letter. The 31st of July, there's a letter to Reginald. And then in that letter, you go to the back, and you see where it is highlighted in the red. Threats of eviction to a local business owner, to a man of the soil, to someone who has invested over 20 years of service and 20 years of development in that area. Could there not have been some negotiation? Could there not have been some sort of communication between the local business owner? Why is it that this administration, this uncaring Labour government, has not even given Mr. James sufficient time after the signing of the loans? And then when you talk about it, about the Labour administration appeasing the foreigners at the expense of the local business owners, here comes a member of the government on a popular radio program, the Attorney General.
There was never any plan, immediate or otherwise, for the land.
Okay, so we're at that point where we are hearing that the land is
There is no Nigerian port or anything that has come to cabinet.
Container yard.
Container yard, Nigerian or Puerto Rican or Guatemala, none.
Okay.
There's no plan for the land. There is no fear of eviction of boats during the hurricane season. This is all an orchestrated PR plan to try to put pressure on the government to forego the government's claim.
And I told you in half a tree about the pier that we are looking to bring to New Guinea. I told you about the commercial dock we are looking at for New Guinea. And I want to tell you that the developers have told me that they are primed and ready for this pier. And we now have the right tools, the right backing, and I am pleased to tell you that within the next year or less, you will have boats docking at the pier in New Guinea, ready to serve the people of our constituencies. Small cruise ships will be docking at New Guinea. Cargo ports.
You can't make this thing up. You cannot make this thing up. And so let us look at it. We have the Attorney General that comes to national radio, comes to a radio program, and says that there's no conversation. But then you see an article days before or weeks before talking about Drew and Samuel signing an agreement with an African bank. That article, I pull it up and it could be pulled up again. On the 28th of July, there's an article talking about a loan agreement. And if you go through that article and you read the article, it talks about ports in the New Guinea area. So you are saying to me that two members of cabinet, one being the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the other being the representative of constituency number 4, and Minister of Agriculture et al., cabinet ministers, go abroad and sign agreements for a loan of millions of dollars. And in that same article, it speaks about a port. And then you have the Attorney General going on radio saying something else. And then you have Samuel Dobbins at a political rally years ago talking about that same port and talking about that same development in that area. And you want to say that this is coincidental? It is a burning shame that that is the pattern for Labour. That is the pattern for Labour. So again, we talk about an uncaring Labour administration. Labour embraces foreign investors, but pushes out its own people. Labour celebrates deals with outsiders, but destabilizes the livelihood of Kittitians. And we listen carefully to the clip that was played. Garth says one thing, Samuel says another. The contradiction is plain for everyone to hear. This is not a team with a clear vision. That is a government that stumbles over its own words, contradicting itself in public while people suffer in private. Just these weeks ago, or during this week, you see videos being played about business owners on the beach having to be removed from their livelihoods. This uncaring Labour administration, this uncaring government who don't care about the people who elected them. They only care about themselves. They only care about ensuring that they could win another election. But elections cannot be won without the favor of the people. And they have proven themselves unfavorable to the people through their own actions. This administration has failed the very people who elected them to serve. And so I say to you that better days are coming. Better days are coming under the People's Action Movement. I am a candidate who believes in putting people first. I am a candidate who knows how it feels to struggle. And I am a candidate who knows how to succeed through hard work and education and good discipline. And so I am one who could reach out to the ordinary man and woman, the ordinary citizen, and feel their pain and stand with them, not above them. And so as your candidate for constituency number 4, I will continue to speak on the people's behalf. I will not be silent. I will not fear the Labour administration. And I do not fear whatever victimization may come. Because we must stand up against wrongdoing. This is not about politics. This is about treatment of our people. And so there might be legal actions that could be taken. Maybe there's a debt that is owed. No one is talking about the debt that is owed. Persons are talking about the treatment that you give the very people who elected you. And so under a PAM administration, better days will be coming. And I want to know what it is that this Labour administration thinks that it could say to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis when the election time comes. And I want to warn the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to caution you that when the bell is rung, the Labour administration will come to you with so many things. They will try to buy your support, but do not allow them to buy your support. You have seen how they have operated. You have seen how they work. They do not work in your best interests. They work in their best interests. We look at the rising cost of living under this uncaring Labour government. And what did they do? They increase their salaries because tough times they expected to be ahead. They're not one to stand with you in the struggle. Stand with you in the struggle so they could feel your pain, they could feel your heartache. They elevated themselves in livelihood so they could look upon you and I safely out of the hands of struggle. But you need leaders with hearts. And that is why I spoke and began with Greenwich's Post. Because Greenwich's Post is the center of the problem. When we reward politicians for their bad behavior, how can we expect them to do better? How can we expect them to know better? We cannot continue to reward politicians for bad behavior. We cannot continue to reward Labour for bad policies. Their policies continue to hurt the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And that is why, under the leadership of Natasha Shani-Brooks and the People's Action Movement, we stand together with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We will not be silent. We will not quit. We will continue to put people first. And so I want to caution the Labour administration, the uncaring government that they are, that your time will soon come. The polls will soon be open again. And we, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, will remember the way you have treated us during your time of plenty. Because many, right now, we, the people, are facing hard times while you are facing times of plenty. And so we will continue to advocate on behalf of others. I will continue to advocate on behalf of others. It pains my heart when I have to speak with constituents and they say to me that things are going well, that the small businesses are struggling. And this uncaring government has not lent any support to their plight. I speak to constituents who, under the previous administration in which Pam was a part, was given $500 in support for the cost of living. Many of those persons would have voted for Labour and then removed from the social assistance. The very people who placed Labour into government are the very same people who are suffering now as a result of this uncaring administration. But I say to you that the People's Action Movement hears your cry. We will not be silent. We will not be removed from the communities. We will continue to advocate for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Just last week, a number of us, candidates and caretakers of the constituencies, held our back to school drives. Our political leader, Natasha Shani-Brooks, in his last year, held a community day where she gave out food to many persons in her community, the East Bastia. She gave out back to school items. It was a whole fun day within East Bastia. Just weeks before that, the People's Action Movement met in East Bastia. Our political leader and also the candidate newly being Greer for Central Bastia met with the Spanish community because we believe that people matter most. Support should not be transactional. We are with the people and should be with the people always. And that is why I must thank my executive in constituency number 4. And I must thank the members of constituency number 4, PAM Group, who assisted and gave of their times and talent in order to ensure that we had a back to school drive last week. Constituency number 4 had its back to school drive because we recognize that these are hard times. Families are hurting. And so we distributed over 250 school supplies to families here in the constituency, in my constituency. And I want to thank those persons who donated to the cause. Persons like Austin Coker, persons like Joanna Marsham Wilkin, persons who contributed their time, their talent. We had our chairwoman with us who contributed over time, Shamel Ju. We had members in the community. On the truck with us was Root Report, who was with us, helping, assisting. The community was together. We were joined then by Penny. And so it was a community activity because community matters. And under the People's Action Movement, constituency number 4 will be restored to its brighter days. Allow the clip to be played about our back to school activity. Constituency number 4, tomorrow, August 30th, come down on the road, 1 p.m. It's back to school. I am your candidate for the People's Action Movement, Azard Gumbs, and we are back to school in constituency number 4.
Here we have some awesome goodies. We have every tier of education covered. Preschool, bam! We have your crayon books and your coloring. Those persons in primary school, we have everything that you're going to need for back to school. In these delicious blue bags that you see we have here stacked on the table, these are just some of the items that we have for our back to school tokens for our students. We have our high school covered as well, and Sherman. Our chairperson for constituency number 4 is hard working for your best interest. And so, do not miss out in constituency 4 with Azard Gumbs at the helm. You always get more.
It was indeed a beautiful moment, and again, I thank those persons who donated. I must also thank my predecessor, the Honorable Mr. Lindsey Grant, who also contributed as well. It is moments like that that, gives me great joy, where we can assist persons, we can make the community brighter, we can make the community better. And it is through avenues like that that I and my team will continue to assist where we can. We know that we're not in government. We don't hold the purse of government. But as I said in my speech when I became the candidate, there will be no other candidate with more hat than me. And we will continue to ensure that the people of constituency number 4 see better days. And just yesterday, we saw the conclusion of the Azard Gumbs constituency 4 domino competition at Gijo's Bar. It was really the first time that I had sponsored the activity. I must thank Magu. Magu really came to me and he said, the people of constituency number 4, like the dominoes, they have had competition, and I know that my predecessor, Lindsey Grant, sometime ago, he held those competitions as well at the same location. And so I thought that it would be good to build on his foundation and to continue community activities. That started in May and it concluded in July. So it was weeks of dominoes being played 3 times per week. And I attended almost all of the games, showing my support. It was really a good time. At the end of the game, the tournament, we had the champions, the Fire Kings. Fire Kings placed first, and they received a cash prize of $3,000, and of course the winner's trophy. They had they have the gloat, they have the moment to gloat. We had Victory coming in second, and they received a cash prize of $1,500. We also had Till Morning. I remember Team Till Morning. They're very energetic. Shat Mother Cup is a part of that team, Till Morning, and they place third. And of course, Mott, they place fourth, and that was a prize of $500. The other teams within place had the opportunity to still get special awards, and so that was given out. I must thank Norris Fifield, who was very instrumental in ensuring that the domino tournament was a success. He has been a great support, and I thank him. I also thank Pete Blanchett, and I also thank everybody who assisted behind the scenes. Some names I cannot mention, but I want to thank everybody who assisted behind the scenes. It is really a great moment to be a part of something bigger than yourself, and I said bigger than myself in terms of community activity. Of course, it is my intention as a candidate for constituency number 4 to continue with community activities. So the domino competition is just one. We're going to have other competitions. And we will continue, and I will continue to ensure that the people of constituency number 4 is taken care of. When I am elected as the next representative for constituency number 4, the member of parliament for constituency number 4, I will not be a representative that lives above his people. I will be a representative that lives among his people. And I also want to give my condolences again to, of course, the family of the young Romney who was killed. The funeral service was at the Antioch Baptist Church. It took place in August 27th, if I'm not mistaken. And, just a sad moment in our constituency. And, I continue to speak to them and engage with the family because, after losing a loved one, the pain just doesn't go away. You still have to deal with that pain even after the service is over. We have all experienced loss of family members. We are not immune to that. We must remember others in our prayers. I also had the opportunity of meeting and celebrating with Mrs. Johnson from Half the Tree, who celebrated her birthday last week, Sunday. Celebrated her birthday. She made 92 years old. She is a treasured elder within our community, and God has kept her. I want to say to her again, happy birthday. And Miss Johnson is in such a sharp mind. She has a sharp mind. I remember speaking to her, and she could recall times when I preached at the Half the Tree Methodist Church, and where she played the organ. And so I said to myself, I too hope that I reach that age, and when I do, my mind is as sharp as hers. And so it is so rewarding being a part of constituency number 4. I also want to congratulate the Virtuous High School to their principal. I want to say congratulations to the principal, Miguel Thomas, and the teachers and staff of the Virtuous High School, who did amazingly well, 94% pass rate. And I am told that is the best in the federation. So the Virtuous High School continue to excel. The school in constituency number 4 continues to excel and must be commended. Of course, over the last week, we had our sister party in Jamaica, the Jamaican Labour Party, who have succeeded in making history and gaining a third term, the first time the JLP has done that. If you know your research, you know that the People's Action Movement and the JLP as parties, just 2 years ago, one of the candidates and again re-elected MPs, Robert Nestor Morgan, was our guest speaker at our convention in 2023. If you look at it, our former political leader, the Honorable Sean Richards, was a speaker at the JLP's conference in 2018. And of course, that video was being circulated during the campaign season this year, where he said that, building a country is like catching a bucket of water. It takes time to fill that bucket, but then one fool can come and kick it down. And so it shows the connection that our party has with our sister parties across the region, a connection that we all share. We share principles and we share values to build our country. And there was a letter that was circulated and issued by our political leader on behalf of the People's Action Movement. And you can see the leader giving her own congratulations to our sister party in Jamaica. Of course, I said to you that the People's Action Movement will continue to go from strength to strength. We went to church this morning in constituency number 4, the Old Road Faith Tabernacle Church. And the service was beautiful. What stayed with me was the prayer, the closing prayer, when the young man, he prayed for the People's Action Movement. He indicated that the People's Action Movement had been the party that ushered St. Kitts and Nevis into independence. And that there may be talk about the People's Action Movement being dead, but that is not so. And what he prayed was for God's guidance upon the leaders of the People's Action. And that really touched me, because we can do nothing without God. And everything. And we will continue to be led by God, because we believe that we are here at a time like this to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we will continue to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to say to you this evening, do have a pleasant and safe night. And always remember that the People's Action Movement will not be silent. And the People's Action Movement is here and here to stay. I am your host of Unfiltered, lawyer, deputy political leader, and candidate of constituency number 4, People's Action Movement, Azard Gumbs. And I say to you, have a pleasant evening. And a wonderful.
Nowadays, everybody all about it. What happened to love? What about happiness? We got life and not just so we bless. Forget about the rest, love and life.
So I had to say a prayer for my generation, for my people, oh, for my federation. Stay strong, say we got to stay strong, stay strong, stay strong, say we